and I thought this would be a fun question. It's about JB Bickerstaff. So I want to know, which player do you think will benefit the most under JB?
This is a really, really good question. I haven't thought about it like this, but this is a really, really good question. So what we know about JB is that I think he's a guy who's always done a good job of getting his teams to play like a high level of like a baseline like good NBA basketball. I know he kind of got. I personally feel like he kind of got a little unfairly maligned in Cleveland. Part of that was the it seemed like situation like Donovan Mitchell like was kind of just sick of listening to him. It's like that happens, right? But that doesn't make him a bad coach. He kept that team afloat. Like when Garland got hurt, when Mitchell got hurt, when Allen got hurt, when Mobley got hurt, they still managed to play like a competent brand of basketball like every night. And I think he should be like really commended for that. He also like after the Beeline thing, which was like 6 years ago at this point, it was wild. He helped build that team into like almost a 50-win team and a team that people were slightly like disappointed they didn't make it farther in the playoffs. And so he built it to a team that had expectations, which is a good place that for I think the Pistons to eventually be in like 3 to 4 years. And so I think he's a good coach. I know it was like a little bit of a surprise to everyone like when he was announced. And I know like I had friends like texting me and being like, wait, I thought we were getting Borrego. Like what happened? Like why? Or like why isn't Sean Sweeney like a thing? But they openly stated about their preference to get a new head coach that had prior head coach experience. I totally understand that. And I think that like JB can still operate as a good like developmental head coach while also like helping them be better and like win more games and do some tactical stuff. So, but to answer your question, I think the answer might be Jalen Duren. They're bringing back Sidney Lowe, who I believe is the big man coach. And he was previously the big man coach in Detroit. He's done a really great job of helping Jared Allen and Evan Mobley learn how to coexist on the court, but also like they've done a good job, I think, like slowly expanding Evan Mobley's like offensive responsibilities in a way that's been good for him. And my hope is that like I know we talked about Jalen Duren like not being a rim protector, but my hope is that like if he's coached better or they can help foster his development in that area, like that would solve a lot of problems for them. And you know, between the work he's done with like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Mobley and Jared Allen, you would think that like Bickerstaff can impart some defensive lessons like onto JD that would be beneficial for him and the team. So I'm gonna say Jalen Duren, but this is a really good question. This is something I hadn't like thought about all that much.
I probably thought about this all day, and I was like, maybe it's Asar because Isaac Okoro kind of had like a huge kind of like defensively. I was like, no, maybe not Asar. Maybe Ivy because you know Darius Garland developed quite a bit, but I don't know if that's just because Darius Garland's a good player and he puts the time in. As I'm not that tuned in and not locked in with Cavs games because they're a Central Division rival and I don't like the Cavs. But I was thinking Ivy, but the more I thought about it, I honestly think the one player that might benefit the most is Stu. Because I think Stu is so versatile as a defender that I think they're going to use him in a bunch of different roles. Like maybe they decide, you know, we're playing a bigger team in the front court. Well, we're going to play, you know, Duren and Stu tonight versus like a Tobias and Stu. I think Stu's this upcoming season, I think he'll take another leap. I'm not going to say he's going to be like an all-star like, you know, some people think he's going to be. I'm not one of those people, but I think he's going to take another leap. And I think this season, I think his passing is going to be much improved because I don't really think we got to see a lot of his passing, but you started to see it towards the end of the season with a little bit of the DHOs that he was doing. For me, I think it's going to be Stu, but to your point, I think what you said, it wouldn't surprise me at all either.
Yeah, no, that would be cool too. Yeah, I do wonder about like what Stu's role is going to be for this team. Like again, I think he's going to be the backup center, but I would be really curious to see like how he'll be used offensively, because like as a like kind of stretch big, but again like teams weren't guarding him. Like I think that there's an opportunity to pair him with like an Asar or Aran to have lineups where Asar or Ron is like the only non-shooter in a bench lineup in a way that I think would be good for them. And Stu, again, like to what you said about like we're playing somebody bigger, we want to go like we want to play Stu and Duren at the same time. Like I definitely think that's a look that they'll leverage sometimes. So like yeah, that I think Stu's a totally fine answer as well.
Yeah, it's like I was trying to think of like fun questions. I was just like, so who would benefit under JB? Because I know we haven't even had this press conference. We'll probably get it sometime next week, maybe. Yeah. Maybe they won't hit traffic too, and it'll be on time. I'm hoping that
good luck with that.
Doesn't have to suffer through any hugs and traffic, and he'll be golden. But yeah, man, I'm excited for JB. I think to your point, like what you said, he kind of established a culture in Cleveland, and like kind of got a raw deal because Cleveland, like, I don't want to say they choked in the playoffs, but they kind of underperformed, kind of given like the talent that they did have. But I was listening to an old podcast. For anyone watching and listening, definitely check it out. Kevin Love was on JJ's podcast, JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man to Three, and he talks really highly about JB, like really highly. It's just like kind of like a connector, a leader, like really good communicator. And I was just like, that's something they didn't really have last season, in my opinion. Anyway, it's just from like watching the games, because Monty would like draw up a play, and you got players like waving to the fans like while you're out to the game, so like not even paying attention to like the plays that he's drawing up. That's just like, oh wow, they're tuned out.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that like this team is definitely going to be better coached than they were last season. I was seeing some stuff on Twitter about too, because of the roster that Cleveland's had like 2 seasons ago. A couple like more film heavy guys said they liked the way that JB coached around having a team with like multiple non-shooters offensively. And so that would be nice if you want to play like a Sar and another non-shooter. You want to play Sar and Duren together or something like that. Like it'd be nice to still find ways to score the basketball with a clogged paint and less spacing, some off-ball movement stuff. I do like Fontecchio will be like really good for Fontecchio and THJ, who I think will be good for like more off-ball movement stuff to help like get the defense in rotation and make decisions easier on the guards. So yeah, I think I remain really hopeful that JB is going to be a better coach for the team this year.